Hey everybody, this is me, Undead Viking. I want to talk to you about this game. It's called Hero Flix. Now, Hero Flix is a card game that puts each player into the shoes of a superhero movie director, be it for, like, say, a good movie, like The Dark Knight, or, say, like, a bad movie, like anything with the Fantastic Four in it. Now, you will be pitted against the other players because of the fact that you're all racing to get your movie done and get, you know, the best possible production quality and do the best possible job. And since, like, you know, the summer's coming and the big movie scene is coming, each of you is going to want to try to make sure that you have the best movie, but also make sure that you kind of screw with everybody else's movie a little bit to make them kind of bad. Be it, you know, just by, you know, making their actors, like, be, you know, less impressive, or even just, like, smear campaigns, or, you know, having their, causing an injunction to halt production, or things like that. You know, basically, it's a card game that allows you to, like, play cards on other people's tableaus. You get one of these cool little clackers here that you're going to be playing cards on. And then you can actually play other cards on people's clackers to kind of mess with the movie that they're making. It's a lot of fun, actually. I mean, it is a movie that has a little bit of a take that aspect to it. But I found it very enjoyable because of the theme and because of just the fact that, like, when we were playing it, like, innumerable comments about superhero movies and superhero movies that were good and bad and whatever were always happening at the table, and we had a lot of fun with it. So let me show you how to play the game. It shouldn't take too long, and then we'll come back here and I'll talk to you more about Hero Flix. Alright, this is Hero Flix. Let's learn how to play. To begin with, each player is going to get one of these clapboards, as they're known. That's going to be your little player board, and that's where all your cards are going to be placed as you are playing them. You shuffle up the plotline deck, and you deal out 3 movie scenes, basically. Those are the first 3 movie scenes that you have the option of filming. Each one of these will have the requirements to fulfill the scene. You know, admittedly, this is a prototype I have, so, like, the art that you're going to see is not going to be finalized. Just keep that in mind. But this number up here, that's how many points the scene is worth if you manage to finish it and put it in the can, so to speak. This is the number of leading actors that you have to have in the scene. This is the number of supporting actors you have to have. And then these are the, like, the boosts, the extras, and the props that you have to finish the scene. And this little thing right here, this little box right there, that is the, like, location. So this is the epic fight location. So you have to manage to get all those cards placed in your production that's here, and then put the production into play, and then you, of course, you'll be able to claim the card that's up here. When you claim a card, like, say you claim this one, you just turn the next card over and take its place, like so. So that's how that works. You probably play card games that have that as well. And so this is just kind of like your scoring line, if you will. So each person is going to get 7 cards to start with. Let me just draw 7 for myself here. 4, 5, 6, 7. And then on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to take a look at your 7 cards. Let's see what we got here. And there are several different types of cards. Let's see what we got. So, like, here is, this is a talent or, like, boost, whatever. And so these cards have 2 sides. And so depending on which one you use it for, you either end up putting the card like this to show that you have the talent, or you put it on the bottom like that to show that you're using it for the boost. Pretty straightforward, right? Now, as I said, remember, this is a like these pictures or whatever. That's just not that's just a placeholder art. So just keep in mind that the final game is going to have pretty cool art, and I invite you to go ahead and check out the Kickstarter to check that out. So those are those modifier cards. Allow you to either modify your own production here, and then it allows you to do something that kind of breaks the rules, or modifier like this one. A smear campaign allows you to play it on somebody else's production that they're making, and so upon completing your production, the smear campaign reduces the value of that plot line by 1 point. So you can put this face down in somebody else's production. Once they finish it, they have to, when it's done, it's going to be worth 1 less point. You can't ever, like, there can be multiple cards like this. You can't ever get negative points. Just keep that in mind. So, like, this one's worth 2, and if you did this one and you had, like, 3 -1 points on there, you wouldn't get -1 points for doing that. You just get 0. All right, so let me see what else. Okay, here's the location. So the location is just like what you see here. And like unlike the cards that go up and down here, you just go ahead and put the location in that right over there on the side of the board. You never have to have more than one location. Occasionally, you'll get plotline cards that will have like 2 locations on the bottom of them. Here, let me see if I can find one quick. So like here's one that has like all 4 of them on there. You don't have to have all 4 of the locations. You just have to satisfy one of those spots. So like here's like this cutscene. You know, you could have any of those. So just keep that in mind when there's multiple locations on the bottom of the plot lines. You don't have to have one of each in those cases for those particular cards. I see here I got another modifier, but the modifier is actually for myself. So the modifier here, this one says overtime. And it says here, even says, with a little more time, you can get much further. So play overtime face down into your own production. So when you do that, you place it face down like that. People know you've put a modifier down. And at any time, when, you know, depending on the card, what it does, you can flip it over to have the modifier take effect. In this case, like on your turn, you're able to take 3 plot points or 3 shoot points worth of actions. And so in this particular card, the overtime, you reveals that it's a free event and you gain 2 additional shoots. So you get like basically 2 more action points when you use this. So you have that, and you can just put that there for a rainy day, you know. And so like later on, if you need those extra 2 to like get one more card into play, or even just put your scene into production, those are things that you can do. Okay, we also, I see we have some reaction and action cards. Action, you can play these. These are free things where you can say, it's like play Studio Saboteur against another player. Target player loses 2 shoots on their next turn. So like you can basically reduce the amount of things they can do. I like this one actually, the co-producer. Play co-producer when another player successfully completes. This is a reaction. Completes a production. So you can just piggyback on top of that, and then you get 1 point for doing that. You know, so like somebody else goes through all the trouble of, you know, putting their scene together, and then, you know, like you just say, oh, and hey, I get a point too. You know, you put that down there like that. I kind of like that. And multiple people can do that. So if there's like 2 or 3 people that have this card and somebody else does it, you can all get an extra point if you have one of those cards, and you can go through that process. So on your turn, if you're gonna play a card, so like let's say we wanted to play this actor. He's a lead actor. You can see because of the smiley face there, and you say that would be a point. If you wanted to play that, you know, like a shoot point, you know, so you could put that down. So now, like we've satisfied that. So maybe we're going for this one. We want to, because we got that location card. So, and then we've already played that location. So let's just leave that there. So we've satisfied the location for this, and we satisfied the lead actor for that as well. Now with my last shoot point, I could, if I wanted to, I could sabotage somebody. I could use my action and then use that so like maybe the next person would get 2 less turns. I could put you know, one of my modifiers down either on my own, or I could put, you know, a bad one on somebody else's, or I could you know, like this one, like I can either use it to satisfy my boost, or you know, get my other actor in place. So let's just do that. So now we've satisfied both the lead actor and the supporting actor for the throwing down the gauntlet you know, production card. So now we reach the end of our turn. We can discard any of these cards that we want. We can just put them in the discard pile, and then we draw back up to 7. But I kind of like these cards, so we're just going to draw 3 more cards. See what we get here. 1, 2, 3. And so we got, let's see, well, actually we got pretty good because we got like our 2 little cards here we need for our props, and we also got a bad casting action card. And so we put these in our hand, and then now the play would go all the way around until it was done, and then when it got back to us, we could go ahead and play more cards. So I'm just gonna so like we could play these 2 props like so. And this kind of stinks, because when you play those out there, people can kind of see maybe what they're going for. They probably knew what we were going for anywhere because of the fact that we have our location out there. And this is the only one that has that location. But we still need a boost, and we still need a extra. So let me I don't have one yet. So we use those 2 actions. And, you know, let's go ahead and put our modifier card down, face down, like so. And so now once again we have 4 cards. Let's draw 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and I got 3 location cards. That doesn't help me at all. So now, like, we go through the whole process, and I'm not going to keep doing turn after turn after turn, but there are a couple of things that can happen. So let's say, let me just go ahead and dig through here and find the card that I need for my extras. There's one. So let's say I have my extra, I have my boost, and I have my 2 things. So like, let's say I got all of these cards in like so. So I've satisfied everything I need for this. I have my location, I have my actors, I have my 2 props, my boost, and my extra. So now for all 3 action points, I could then take this and I could say I'm going to do this production. And unless somebody plays a card or an action to kind of mess with it, that will go through. And so when you get that, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put that in your portfolio to show that you finished that off. And then that's with 4 points. Remember, the first person to 10 or more is going to win the game. So we're going to go ahead and take this card, turn it over, and put it face down like that. And then that affords the next one. Now, in another situation, what might happen is somebody else took that card. They finished it before I was able to get to it, and now they put another card down. So now I have all of this stuff that's like in place to, you know, make this production, but I don't have a production card that fits these actors and these props and everything else that I've already paid for that are on the set waiting to do something. And so now you have to kind of think on the fly and say, well, what can I do? Now we could, if we wanted to like really go gung-ho, we could see if we can get some more actors to fill out these and some more like that, but that might take a long time. So other actions that you can do on your turn are that you can actually fire people off of your lot. So let me move this modifier card over there. So what you can do for one action, or sorry, for 2 actions or shoots, you can remove 1 card from your tableau. You can say, okay, we're done. You can get rid of you remove 2 talents or items from your production. So I'm sorry, one item or 1 talent. For 3, all 3 of your action points, you can remove 2 cards. 1 of each or 2 of them. So we could go ahead and say, you know, it's like, well, you know, like if we're going to go for this one, we only need 1 prop. So let's get rid of this prop, and we also don't need a lead actor. So we're going to go ahead and ditch both of these guys, and we're going to put them into the discard pile like so. And so that's one of those things where when you're playing it, you kind of have to think of, okay, well, you know, it's like if I can't get the one that I wanted, you know, it's just like you have to actually then be malleable and switch it up and change over to something else. Now, along the way, like I said, people are going to be using different bad things that happen to you. You know, like I got this bad casting. Like if you play bad casting, it causes the lead talent to be considered for a sporting talent for the production. So that could happen. And so then, like, you might have, even though I had this before, like I had this guy who was a leading actor. All of a sudden, somebody made that action, and all of a sudden now he's considered to be supporting. So now we got 2 supporting actors instead of lead actors. So all of these things that kind of mess with you and kind of do things, you have to be like have a dynamic strategy, if you will, and always be able to roll with the punches. And you know, have like probably instead of like focusing on just 1 card, like be working slowly towards several cards, and like you know, waiting on your location, things like that, to like then, you know, just until you're like make sure that you have everything in place to be able to score something, and then go through the process of, you know, like being able to like then cash it in. The trick is, of course, it takes all 3 of your action points to, you know, get, you know, to claim one of these production cards. So you have to make sure that either your opponents are preoccupied and working on their own thing, or they're not maybe paying attention to where you're at, or, you know, it's just like you're hoping that, like, you know, you have enough cards, like, because you can get reaction cards out of this deck that will actually counter certain bad things that they can do to you. So you can hope that you have, like, can fight off any attempts to stop your production long enough so it gets back to your turn and you're able to turn in all of your cards for the points. Now, when you do that, if you succeed, obviously you take all of the cards that you used and you go ahead and put those into the discard. If you had any action cards that were like affecting the situation, you get rid of that as well. That doesn't stick with you. And then you start over brand new. I should mention, there are some cards, like this plot line, where you'll see like these things with the 0+. And what that means is that the plus means that you can have those in place if you want for your production. And like it doesn't matter if they're there. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're on, or they don't have to be there, but they can be. And so these cards are kind of like a way to cleanse your board, which I'm very thankful when like I've gotten stuck. You know, I've got too many things on there, and all of a sudden one of these cards pops up, and I'm able to then use that to clean off my little clacker here, and then I can then start fresh. Even though I'm turning in tons of cards that normally were worth like 3, 4, 6 points, it's sometimes better just to ditch everything and then, you know, to start fresh. But there you go. So there you go. That's how you play Hero Flix. Like I said, you go ahead and play till 10 points. The fun thing for me is, and they even suggest this, is that when you get done, you can actually do things where you like describe the scene to the people, or you describe the movie that you're making, or you have like everybody else give that particular scene of the movie, or that particular moment, or the movie itself, a title or a name, and then the person that actually publishes it, then they actually will then like hand out a point, you know, to the person that they think that has the best one, or that, and that's just, I mean, that's a way for the immersion to actually increase and to kind of, you know, create more of a like a party game atmosphere. And definitely when I played this with my family, that's the way we played it. My daughter was very, very clever at coming up with superhero names and superhero movie titles and superhero fights, if you will. And you know, and I think it added a lot. Obviously, I think with like more hardcore gamers that are going to be playing this, you know, they'll game the game at that point. So you might not want to use that for like your more serious gamers, but for people that can relax and enjoy a game, I definitely suggest including that kind of whimsical nature to it. But there you go. That is Hero Flix. That's how you play. So let me tell you more about the game in my conclusion. Alright, thank you very much for sitting through the gameplay portion of the video. I hope you have a really good idea of how to play Hero Flix at this point. Now, I mean, I kind of alluded in the introduction as to why I enjoyed this game. It was more of a, like, not a really hard-pressed, like, tax my mind game, but it was more of a enjoyable sit down at the table with my buddies and mess with each other for about a half hour, 45 minutes, as we just kind of all raced each other to be the first one to complete our movies. And repeated plays held up that experience. Now, one of the cool things about this is that I've played it now like several times, and like I said, I still have fun with it. It's a good time, but I'm really looking forward to actually seeing the final art and seeing like the actual like movie representations. And I understand that they have quite a bit of a humor coming forward when the game is published, and I look forward to seeing that, because I think that's going to help with the immersion, if you will. I think that's going to help with the like just game experience. You know, like I said, this isn't a game that you're going to like be taxed like with your mind, but it is definitely going to be one of those games that is going to be very competitive, because of the fact that you're going to be, like I said, messing with each other a little bit. But also, it's like a game that like it's a weird kind of increment of risk taking, if you will. Now, bear with me saying. So, I kind of talked about this a little bit in how the game was played. But as you're slowly building up towards the finished product, the finished scene of the movie, you have this kind of tension where you feel like you're racing against other players to get to that point. But there's so few like. Because of the fact that it takes 3 points, all 3 of your action points to like complete a scene, you don't want to like give it away. Like you don't want to be the first person to get to that point, because that's when like the take that stuff happens. Where like you know it's like, oh, you got really close. Okay, we're gonna drag you back away from the precipice so you can't score those points, because 10 points isn't tough to get in this game, and that's good though, because of the fact that the game won't last long, and take that games, if they last too long, do tend to bog down. Anybody who's been stuck in a 3-hour marathon game of Munchkin can agree with me that like things like this just shouldn't last a long time, and this one hits that perfect sweet spot as far as the time wise of it. Now, as I said, like the immersion is there for me because of the fact that I've seen tons of superhero movies. I grew up reading comic books. I still read comic books. You know, so it's there. You know, and it's like you feel that, and we're surrounded right now with inundated with superhero TV shows and superhero movies and what have you, and so this is one of those things that like when we're playing it, I don't feel any kinship, so to speak, if I'm playing. You know, a game about you know trading on the Aegean Sea in the 1600s or whatever. You know, I still play those games. I find them interesting, but nobody ever is like talking about that game like they're feeling it. You know, but this is a game where you're feeling it. Like, so when somebody is messing with things or somebody is screwing up scenes, you know, this is one of those times when you start feeling it or seeing it in your head and acting out with your buddies, and you're laughing, you're having a good time, and then you realize that the game is there to be won, but the game is there to just be the facilitator of that good time with your friends. And I think if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. If you're catching me. So yes, it is competitive. Yes, it is fun, and I've won it a couple times. This is one of the few games I've actually won recently. So I have felt pretty triumphant when I managed to put that last production card into play, and I took the crown. My daughter absolutely loves this game because she gets to come up with cool, funny names for her movies and cool, funny names for her superheroes and what have you. And the cool thing about that is that we would get done playing a game, and then she would immediately, she's in her like drawing comic books phase of her life right now, so she'd then go and she'd draw a comic book about the movie that she just made. And so if all else fails, because of the fact that I got to play this with my daughter, that's a great memory for me, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, thank you, designers of Hero Flix, for giving me that, because that's a pretty amazing thing that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. So there you go. That is Hero Flix. If you have any questions about the game, please ask Will. I'll be happy to answer those to the best of my ability. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I am the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.